Look, Jamie, this firm, we have represented your family for years. For years. I can't in good conscience recommend to the kinds of people you want to talk to about the kinds of things you want to talk about that they participate in the film. They have to be nuts. I mean, you're dealing with families that have always made it gospel that you don't talk about your money. And now you want to put them in a film that... I don't know how... I'm not surprised that you're having trouble getting people.
Before I say anything, I just want to say that I am really, really reluctant to do this. And I really don't like talking to this thing at all. And I dislike you both immensely as a result of the fact.
If Luke is any indication of what it's going to be like trying to get my friends to talk, then this is going to be more of an adventure than I expected.
I have sort of apprehensions, first of all, about being on, in a film, like, about a bunch of rich kids. Like, maybe it's more than that. I understand that it represents, like, a particular sort of, niche that maybe, most of the world doesn't really recognize, and in that way it's significant. But, I would worry about, like, my parents seeing it, I would worry about some of my friends seeing it. I think, some of them would think that my involvement in it was inappropriate. Essentially just kind of the notion of talking about, one's wealth, describing a bunch of people's wealth, it's just kind of tacky. My father's in the gaming industry. They do sports and horse racing. They supply the equipment and security and everything. So they do all the betting at Belmont and, Churchill Downs is where the Kentucky Derby's held. At the Preakness, and then they do all the hotels in Vegas or Atlantic City in terms of sports betting. It's a pretty big business. My father told me at a very early age that I could do whatever I wanted. You can do whatever you want. You can be a concert violinist, for all I care, as long as you do something. As long as you do something, you're going to be set up. You don't have to worry about anything. Don't do something. He didn't say, at that age, I might have to cut you off, but...
It would be a low estimate, a very low estimate for me to say 20 billion. But I can't get too exact with it. But in attainable assets, that's the range our family's in. My grandfather goes by SI. His father went by SI. I'm my father's oldest son, so I'm SI number 4. And my great-grandfather had bought a group of magazines under a label called Condé Nast. I don't remember what was in it originally, so I'm just going to name them all. Is that okay? I don't have enough fingers. Vogue, Allure, Vanity Fair, GQ, Self, Glamour, House and Garden, Condé Nast Traveler, Architectural Digest, Bon Appetit, Gourmet, Wired, New Yorker, and I'm sure there's a couple I missed, which in any other family you'd think would lay a lot of pressure on my shoulders. They say, you're the oldest, you're the namesake. But it doesn't work that way in my family. You got to earn your way. If you don't go to school, at least somewhat, and if you don't work for the family and put in your time, you don't get shit.
Hey! Come sta? Bene, tu come stai? How you doing?
Bene, eh?
Very good. You're looking great. It's therapeutic. You go to the shrink, you talk about yourself, and then you figure out things. Same thing, you're a tailor, and you still talk about yourself, and you figure out other things. It's my shrink. There are not many people like myself in modeling. I see and had friends that really got me into it. They almost coerced me into it. I kept hearing it from many sides. Try it, why not try it? And finally I did. Lauren Hutton, who's a friend of mine, gave me the idea. Isabella Rossellini once said, yes, I called me up. Some other members of my family think it's a step down being a whore, which for a man, I think it is. I did it purposely. It's the other end of the spectrum for me. I've always been very introspective and interested in culture and things like that, and this is something
on the surface completely, and I'm purposely doing it to explore that side. No, it's what
Oh yeah, questo qui sì. Okay. Questo sì.
Lapels, you see they're high. There's nothing worse when you see these jackets with these lapels that go like this, you see? Are low riding. Clinton wears this kind of thing. Have you seen? It looks like a restaurant owner. It's so vulgar. This is so, has an aristocratic thing to it, no?
Well, I think no matter what I hear about my parents, about my family, no matter what I read, the fact is that I'm absolutely, proud to be a Trump. And I'm, proud of my family name, and I'm proud of everything they've done and ever accomplished. My grandfather, somebody was telling me, had built more housing units than anyone else has ever done in New York. And he was just in the other boroughs. So to my dad, it was sort of, he wanted to go in the direction of his father. He just always loved Manhattan, so he wanted to build here. There's some sort of pride in the fact that people would even take an interest in me just because I'm a part of them. So, for a while I was worried that, for my whole life I'd sort of be under my parents' shadow, but it's not a bad shadow to be under, I guess, so it's okay.
I mean, growing up, everything just seems normal. You go to a museum, you're like, yeah, that's me, that's my family, And don't you have a family museum? The money from my family is kind of complicated. On my grandfather's side of the family, his grandmother was Gertrude Vanderbilt. The Vanderbilts made their money in shipping and railroads. And Gertrude Vanderbilt married a guy named Harry Payne Whitney, who was the son of William C. Whitney, who was a very famous New York financier. Gertrude was a bohemian type, kind of going off to Paris and getting sculpture lessons by Rodin, and in the early 1900s had gone downtown and tried to help out struggling American artists, and in the process formed the Whitney Museum. I always take the subway, but my mom had never really been on the subway. I took her on the other day, and she was like, whoa, this is cool. Other people should do this. I was like, you should come during rush hour, It's kind of ironic, because the Whitney family made their money off of subways. Yeah, they sort of privatized the subways and held a monopoly on it, charged the city all this money. It was a complete racket. They were crooks. But everybody was a crook back then who made money. The Johnsons, right?
Yeah.
They probably were like making opium or something for